Hello there. Today we're going to be doing a what if video and asking ourselves the question, what colour lightsaber would Kylo Ren have had after returning to the light side as Ben Solo? Special thanks goes out to a fan of the channel, Leo Roma 6085, for asking the question. If you guys have any what if questions that you would like answered, then ask away in the comments below. As many of us know, lightsaber blade colours are linked to their user's personality and character, which is why they vary from Force user to Force user. Perhaps one of the sequel trilogy's finest additions to the Star Wars universe was Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Instantly recognisable for its fiery red and unstable blade and its crossguard design, it is undeniably cool. But what colour would Kylo Ren have had once redeemed as Ben Solo? He could hardly be walking around with his crazy red wannabe Sith saber, so please stick around and find out here. This video will firstly look at the origins of Kylo Ren's red lightsaber, why it looks the way it does, and why it has some of those crazy design features. We will then explore what colours a redeemed Ben Solo could possibly have based off both canon and Legends theory. Make sure you let me know underneath what colour lightsaber you think he would have and whether you think he would have kept the same design. At the end of Rise of Skywalker, we see Kylo Ren redeem himself and briefly assume the identity of Ben Solo before his death on Exegol, where he sacrificed himself and returned Rey from the absolute brink of death, giving his life in the process. Throughout the sequel trilogy, Kylo Ren had a highly distinctive crossguard lightsaber. This lightsaber was highly practical but highly dangerous to even ignite, let alone wield. Within pretty much every lightsaber, there was a small crystal called a kyber crystal. The kyber crystal was a force-attuned crystal that generally grew naturally on various ice planets across the known galaxy. In both canon and legends, these crystals were used by Jedi and Sith in the construction of their own lightsabers and would be harvested typically from the ice planet Ilum during Jedi Padawan training. Kyber crystals were inherently attuned to the light side of the Force and generally resisted any effort by users of the dark side to use them within the lightsaber. The crystals are what would give the lightsabers the colours, usually blue, green or yellow, but more rarer would be orange and purple to name a few. In order to turn their lightsaber red, the dark side practitioner would have to put all of their fear, hate, anger and pain into the crystal. This process was known as bleeding and was incredibly dangerous and destructive, could actually damage the crystal, causing it to fracture. If this happened, it would create an unstable lightsaber. Because Kylo Ren had much conflict within him between the light and the dark sides of the Force, the bleeding process was flawed and the crystal was cracked. This caused the distinctive unstable fiery red blade that we see here. The cracked crystal also caused significant amounts of extra heat energy and was extremely dangerous for Kylo Ren to even ignite. The first time that he ignited his lightsaber, it became dangerously unstable and tarnished the alloy hilt black. In order to mitigate this danger, Ren was forced to redirect the energy through specially purposed side vents. This gave it the distinct crossguard design, which not only looked cool, but also helped to protect his hands and arms, as well as cause greater concern for his opponents, especially when up close. Kylo Ren actually based his design off ancient Sith designs, reflecting his ambition to become a Sith. Kylo Ren's lightsaber didn't start off like this, however. As Luke Skywalker's apprentice, Ben Solo would have crafted his lightsaber out of a silver-coloured, heat-hardened alloy during his Padawan training. The crystal placed within the hilt emitted a plasma blue blade, much like Anakin Skywalker's and Obi-Wan Kenobi's before him. When lightsaber crystals are first harvested, they are actually colourless. As the Force user harvests them, they change colour in line with their alignment and attunement to the Force. This would have taken place with Ben Solo during his training. Blue lightsaber crystal, like Ben Solo's, was actually very typical of a Jedi and was actually the most common colour within the Jedi Order. Blue lightsabers were the most common in the Order because they were typical of those that demonstrated physicality, honesty, justice and bravery, which is what the Jedi generally stood for. Similarly, in Legends, the blue lightsabers were wielded by Jedi Guardians who focused mostly on combat, protection and security. As you would expect, there is a fair bit of crossover between Legends and canon material, and both can be applied to Ben Solo. Unfortunately, after Ben Solo redeemed himself, he died before he was given the opportunity to become a Jedi once again, and therefore we didn't get to see what lightsaber colour he would have wielded post Kylo Ren. Interestingly, it is not uncommon for Jedi to wield different coloured lightsabers as their experiences and careers progressed, and therefore it is not unrealistic to think that Ben Solo may actually have gotten a different coloured lightsaber the second time around. The first colour that I believe may have been a possibility was purple. Purple was famously wielded by Jedi Master Mace Windu and Sith Lord Darth Revan. The purple lightsaber was said to symbolise those who had a strong connection to both the light and the dark sides of the Force, but who were strong enough to resist the temptation of the dark, or had managed to return to the path of the light. They were also said to have had an exceptional mastery of combat techniques. As Kylo Ren had clearly been seduced by the dark side, but had managed to return to the light, and was indeed a fearless warrior, purple may have been a very realistic colour. Interestingly, if you mix the colour blue with the colour red, which was the typical colours of both the Jedi and the Sith, you would get purple. Another colour that a redeemed Ben Solo may have gotten would be orange. Orange is very similar in many ways to the colour purple in regards to its meaning and what it symbolises. Orange is made when mixing yellow and red. Whilst yellow typically symbolised the Jedi Sentinel, who were solid all-rounders who also had an affinity for technology, computers and security, red, as we know, symbolised a dark side user. If you combine these two, we get orange. We saw orange most recently in the Ahsoka series with fallen Jedi mercenaries Baylan Skoll and his apprentice Shin Hati. Orange was said to symbolise those who had a connection to both the light and the dark side of the Force, just like purple, but who were more susceptible to being seduced by the dark ways. Or indeed, someone who had recently been a dark side user and had returned to the light but still had much conflict within them. Once again, you could easily argue that this described Ben Solo post Kylo Ren. The third colour that we may see would be the incredibly rare white. In canon, white lightsabers were created when red crystals had been purified of the dark side of the Force. Because lightsaber crystals were naturally attuned to the light side of the Force, the bleeding process would leave irreparable scarring to the crystal, leaving it white once purified. We see this with Ahsoka, who carries 2 white lightsabers after purifying the crystals that she had taken from her victory over the Inquisitor, the 6th brother. Purification was essentially the reverse of the bleeding process and would form a powerful bond with the Force-sensitive individual who had performed the ritual. It is perfectly plausible that Ben Solo could have taken his red crystal, with which he already held a bond, and could heal it, returning it to the light side of the Force. In effect, if he was successful, his healed and purified lightsaber would perfectly symbolise his redemption and return to the light side. His crystal was corrupted and bled, just like he was when seduced by the dark side, and thus, upon his return to the light side, his crystal would be purified and given a new life. As the crystal would still be cracked and scarred from the bleeding process, it is likely they would have to keep a similar design, and therefore we could potentially see a cross-guard, unstable, white-bladed lightsaber. Whilst I love the idea of Ben Solo wielding the white crossguard lightsaber, I think realistically we would probably see a purple or an orange lightsaber, and then perhaps one day returning to his original blue as he was more attuned to the light side of the Force. What colour do you guys think he would have? Please let me know in the comments below, and we'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. Additionally, if you have any theories or what-ifs that you would like me to discuss and explore, then please get in touch with me below, just like Leo Roma 6085 did. Thanks all for watching and listening. If you like what you saw, then please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and give my other videos a go. This has been another Star Wars noob video. Thanks once again. Bye.